Okay, so we have our clean wheel head, 1.7 pounds of clay. Throw that down. You fill that up with water. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to take this clay and turn it into this right here. Start my wheel. I'm going to push down. I'm going to cone up. Bring it down.
Screw you.
This is equal to your 34 on the ACT.
Not even a minute
Oh, let me actually teach you something here. So on a bowl, we're going to start, you can set it there, thank you. We're going to start the same way. So we're going to push this down. I don't mind it tilting a little bit. Before I wanted it straight down. So it can tilt out just a little bit. I do want to make sure that the bottom is a little thicker. So, here's my wood knife right there. I want the bottom to be 2 of my wood knives thick. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to trim a bowl in a minute. But basically, we're going to take this and turn it into that. Okay, pretty amazing. Even a guy like me can do it. Okay, so I want my bottom a little thicker so I can trim into it. So 2 thicknesses of your wood knife. If my rim here starts to get thin, make sure you press that down nice and slow. Okay, the next pull. Remember on our cylinders, we pulled it towards us. So it was straight up and down, nice flat bottom, nice flat sides. On this one, we're going to pull towards us and swoop up. We're actually going to lift with our thumb. Did something just break? Almost. All right. Too bad. Too bad it didn't break. Okay, I'm going to pull towards me. I'm going to hold with my sponge on my thumb, pull towards me, and I'm going to swoop up and lift. So the 2 things we're looking for, right? 3 things. The inside is going to start to have a roundness to it, like a bowl. The outside is going to be straight up and down, maybe tilted out depending on how far you pulled it. Okay, we don't want it way out. If you go way out right now, your next pull, you're going to flop. So we want this to be straight up and down, get that nice bowl, and we want our rim to be fairly thick. Okay, if your rim is really thin, it's going to get thinner as it goes out, and as it goes out, it's going to actually collapse. So we want to have that thick. All right, take the water out and practice that. You've got to compress this. Now we're going to come over here into our pulling. Now remember when I went over this, I'm like, you need to have your hands here. There are other ways to pull cylinders, but it's really hard to pull a good bowl and control it without your hands right here. You can try to do this, you can try to do this, but it's going to cause you problems. So I'm going to pinch at the bottom, thumbs are going to touch, I'm going to push underneath. So basically what's happening is I have this round part in the bowl, and I want to create this area that's basically the same right there. I'm going to grab that clay, I'm going to lift and move out just a little bit. Now, centrifugal force does most of the work for us. If you are getting flops, especially on your second little pull there, it's because you're trying to force the clay. And what we want to do is we want to nudge the clay and slightly move our hand and guide it, but centrifugal force will move it out. Okay, see how that's a bowl inside? And the outside has straight, but it's at an angle now. That's strong. If it's curved right now and we go to pull this again, it's going to want to flop. Okay, we always want to keep this at a straight angle on the outside, curve on the inside. All right, here's our next pull. Come over here, grab that clay, out just a little bit, squeezing between my index finger and my thumb, and my index finger on my right hand, and we pull and lift up. There. Okay, see the angle? Then we have a curve at the bottom. We are mostly worried about the shape of the inside of the bowl. Now, remember when I said you need to practice using your metal rib? This is where that's going to pay off. If you haven't ever used your metal rib, this is going to be a struggle for you. So I'm going to bring this. It's not going to be it's still going to be a struggle.
Yeah.
It's going to be more of a struggle. So the round part of my metal rib is going to be facing the outside of my wall. I'm going to hold it as far down as I can. Okay, there are different sized ribs. This happens to be a large one. There are smaller ones. So if you have smaller hands, thumb on the back side, index finger, middle finger, and I do it on my left hand coming in so I can see what's happening. And I'm going to come in here. That round part's going to hit the bottom. I just let it hit and bend just a little bit. I'm going to go towards the center. Okay, and I don't know if on the screen you can see that, but you can, there's the where I've hit, the compressed part, and where I haven't hit. Okay, so this next thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some shape to the bottom of my bowl on the outside. So I'm going to come in here, it's going to hit, and I'm going to push out just a little bit. And this is where you should be able to see my hands. So I'm going to push out just a little bit, and then I'm going to start to gently lift up. And then always, always, always release slowly. Okay, do you see how dry the inside of my bowl is? Okay, we don't need to do anything else to it. Now, if there's a little bump in there, you can take a sponge, squeeze it out all the way, and you could come in there and compress that. But you do not need to add any water to that at all. All right, on the outside, we're going to use the flat part of our rib, and I'm going to bend it and just gently lift up. So the bend looks like this. Okay, so it just lightly wraps around. I'm not trying to do much to it. Just kind of compress it. If I want, I could shape that a little more right here. But my trimming is going to fix some of that. All right, we'll leave it alone. Okay, the next thing you're going to do, we're going to clean up the rim. Now, if your rim is a little bit thin, we need to flatten it out either by cutting it or by compressing it. If your rim is a little bit chunky, we can clean it up. If your rim is a little bit flat, we can clean it up. So we're going to take our paper towel, and you're going to grab a piece about that big. Okay, we use paper towels because they're biodegradable, and if they get stuck in my clay, it's not that big of a deal. Some people use chamois, so it's leather, and we don't want that. So I folded it, and the fold is going to come towards me. I'm going to dip that in water, and I'm going to just hold it on both sides of my rim, start my wheel, and just gently press down. This compresses the clay, it smooths the clay, it rounds the clay out just a little bit, so it makes it stronger, makes it nicer looking, and it makes it so it'll hold glaze better. Don't force it down, you will cause problems. Okay, remember when I said you need to practice with your wood knife. You need to gently peel away the bottom of your cylinder. Okay, you remember that? We're gonna switch tools and turn it into a wood rib. Now you're not gonna see much of this, but this is gonna come in, and if you can see, that will go right underneath my bowl. So I'm not messing with it. I don't use a wood knife because then I'm like sitting way back here. But I have this and it sits right underneath it. And I'm going to trim this up. So it's going to come in here, I'm going to pierce that, trim away. Always support your hands. And what that does is it makes it, this is my towel for the day, somebody sweats. And my pants. So it makes it so when we pull it off, there's not a lot of chunk on there already. It's not perfectly trimmed, but if it's out like this, if it skirts out and I go to pull this off and lift it, my bowl's not coming off easily. So we want to make sure it's trimmed in. Plus, when I go to trim this in a second, I already have my starting point for my foot. Okay? And we always want to do one step that helps the next step, that helps the next step, the best we know how. So, we grab a board. Okay, we go over and grab a board. We clean off our hands. We grab our wire tool. We wrap it around our fingers. I'm going to slowly start my wheel. I'm going to push straight down. I'm going to pull towards me and my elbows are going to come apart. If I don't pull my elbows apart, if they come straight, this wire tends to loop up and rip right through the bottom of our bowl. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to pull straight through. Also, if your bowl is too thin, you're going to cut through the bottom. Is there anything you can do? Not really. Okay, the reason I got my board and I clean my hands first is if I sit around, that clay is going to sit back down to the pad of clay that's on there that I just cut it from, and it's going to stick. And the thicker your bowls are, and the more wet your bowls are, the more it will stick. So I'm going to reach down at the bottom. These are my big C's here. Okay, and this is my little supporters. I'm going to twist and then lift my thumb up. It gets a little sketchy because you're going to be like, it's bending. But you just pop that right off. Okay? Now, not so bad.
Go to the next one.
No, it's okay.
Okay,
We don't want to embarrass
I don't get embarrassed. Let's trim a bowl real quick, and then I'm going to show you 2 other ways of finishing off our bowls. So this is a quick trimming demo, not a long trimming demo. I will do a more in-depth demo your second day on the wheel. So we put that in the center, start that, hold my thumb right here, and wherever it's hitting, I push away from that spot. If you can't tell where it's hitting, we're gonna make some little marks there. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it's hitting right between 2 and 3. So I get to that spot. And that just means there's more clay from the center mark in here than the center mark and there. So I just gently push that. Hitting right on 1. Oh. Right there. And there will come a point where you're like, that's close enough. That's not yet. 3. Just nice and gently. That looks great. And then we're going to grab some little chunks of clay. They're called what?
Lugs.
Who says that? Why?
So we call them when we make the
Oh, what video?
for video production. We came and filmed.
Oh, that's right.
It's attached.
Yes, they're called lugs, although their technical term is clay turds. Just kidding, it's not. So we're gonna push straight down. I'm gonna put my lug right there and push straight down into the wheel. We actually want this attached to the wheel, not to our bowl, It's just supporting the bowl. Push straight down, wrap that around. All right, we're going to use a loop tool. And trimming, again, this is a quick video or a quick demo. Trimming is, if you're going onto a flat part, you want to be with the corner of your tool. If you're going onto the corner, you want to be the flat part. And you want to be stable. And you want to let the tool do its job. We'll talk more about angles and pressure and stuff like that later. But I want to create my foot, and then I'm going to create the shape. And the shape of my bowl, the inside and the outside should pretty much have the same curve. So if I broke it, it has the same thickness all the way through it, which is why at my house, when a bowl breaks, I get kind of irritated when no one saves it for me. Because I want to see, well, how good did I throw that day? And again, we'll cover trimming again. The faster your wheel spins, the faster you can move your tool, but I'm not going to recommend you trim super fast. You can, but and I usually do. This is like half speed for my trimming. Okay, so I have my foot. Okay, and you see where that comes from? If we set it up, it makes it so we automatically know where we're going. So it just makes life easier. If you have it all skirted out, it's just a pain. The bottom, I'm going to create a little foot ring. So I use the corner of my tool. And the corner of my tool. Now the grand scheme of trimming for me is I want it to look like there's this curve that comes up underneath the foot ring, hits a point right here, and goes back down.
So it's like it's still a bowl.
Like it's just one big circle or half circle, and all I did was take a ring and stick it on there. That's what I want it to look like. I don't always get there. And I'm not going to expect you to get there. I mean, if you want an A. Just kidding. Yeah, I already got my scholarship. I'm okay. Actually, that's like one of the number one reasons why athletes don't participate in collegiate sports, because they give up their second term, their second semester of their senior year, and they tank their scholarships. And the college is like, well, we looked, and you don't have your 3.5 anymore. So keep your grades up all the way through. Okay, so we create that. Now, there's lots of things we can do. I am not requiring you to do texture, but if you're trimming, you can come in here and throw some texture on if you want. Little stripes there. I'm going to come in here and sign it.
Should have done a smiley face.
It's there. Well, sort of there. It's better. It's my initials. And then we have ourselves a nice little bowl. So we take it from that to that. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you other ways to get the best you know how with what you can accomplish in 5 days. Now, let's go back to throwing real quick. And if this is a 1.7 pound bowl shape, right? We can see that. Let's say in 5 days, oh, and on this clay here, I almost always just throw my clay down onto my clay pad. You don't have to clean it all the way up. As long as it's not shiny, it'll stick. Okay, what was I saying? Oh, so you have 5 days to do a set of bowls, bottles, or vases. And it's gonna kind of look like this. Day 1, you throw, you do your best, and if you get something, fantastic. Day 2, you throw, and you should save something by day 2. Day 3, you're gonna throw and trim, maybe, depending on if your pieces are leather hard or not. Day 4, you're gonna throw and trim, and then day 5, you're gonna trim, okay? You need to, for a set of 4 bowls, which is what I want you to make. Okay, I'm gonna open this, and then what's the special opening? What's that word? Say that loud. Swoop. Push my rim down. I'm gonna swoop. Okay, I'm creating that bowl shape. The outside should be pretty straight up and down. What was I just saying? Making 5 days. So on your 5 days, as you're going, you're gonna do the best you know how. And you need to make, for a set of 4 bowls, you should make between 6 and 10 bowls. Some of those will flop. Some of those, when you trim them, you'll rip them apart. So that in the end you have about 4 bowls, because that's a set. Now, crazy enough, I'll take 3 as a set, because sometimes you're like, you know what, I was finally getting it, but this one's kind of ugly, and these 3 look pretty decent. I don't really want to save this. Perfect. Okay, now look at this. This is my first pull, right? So we're gonna do our second pull. And we come to about right there. Inside, bowl shape. Outside is at an angle, right? That's a good thing. Okay, let's say you're on your second day, you haven't saved a bowl yet, and every time you move past here, it's flopping. It's flopping because you're pushing your clay too hard, okay? But I'm not worried about that. Let's say we get here and you're just like, you know what? This is a bowl. So we're going to, instead of trying to take it into this, we're going to rib this here. We're going to push it out just a little bit. It's a little bit thick. Okay, I'm going to do the same things. I'm going to use my paper towels. That compresses my rim. I'm going to use my wood rib and clean up on the bottom. Okay, I'm going to dry my hands. And I'm going to cut this. Now, I've already grabbed a bowl, a board, but I haven't. I'm just going to put it right there for a second. I'm going to cut that off. Okay, which one of those is a bowl and which one isn't? Somebody knocking?
I don't think they probably don't know you open the door.
You can open it.
They are both bowls.
They are both bowls. Emily. And Boston. Yep, you can take that to him.
Yeah.
Okay, they are both bowls, right? This is a soup cereal bowl. This is,
Salad.
no, for me, actually, salad bowls are bigger.
Oh,
Be-
I don't eat greens.
Oh, see, a salad bowl for me is bigger because you put your salad in it, it fills up about half, 3/4, and you can stir it around with the dressing without it flopping over.
No, that's why you just get a plate and you shake it up.
You could do that too. Mine's better.
Have like this massive bowl for like cereal. If you ever want just like this massive bowl of cereal.
You could. I don't eat cereal.
What
My
the?
cereal bowls are like one.
Yeah, cereal is. Yeah. Anyway, back to bowls. So because these are going to shrink, this is a yogurt and granola bowl for sure. That's what I would eat out of that, right? It's a whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay, let's do another one real quick. I'm kind of running out of space here. Okay, we're gonna throw this. Now, let's say you're throwing clay and you get to those points and every time it's starting to wobble and it's just frustrating because you're missing something. And I come over and I help and but it's still happening. But you know how to throw a 3.5, 4-inch cylinder. Okay? Because you should. Most, if not all of you, were able to throw a 3.5, 4-inch cylinder. So, let's do this. So I'm going to throw, like I'm throwing a bowl. I'm still going to want to swoop this just a little bit because I want that roundness at the bottom. Okay, but you know how to throw a cylinder, so you're going to throw this up just a little bit. Maybe your understanding of centrifugal force is a little off, or applied physics, as some people might call it. And we got this. Inside's a bowl, outside's a cylinder, right? We good with that? Okay, we're going to take our wood rib. I'm going to clean it off. Now, just a minute ago I used it like this, the point. I'm going to use this area right here. And this is going to come down at the bottom. I'm going to push out a little bit, tilt, and then I'm going to lift up. Okay, so it's going to come down at the bottom, let that equalize all the way around. I'm going to push out just a little bit. I'm going to tilt it, and it starts to lay down my bowl, and then I'm going to lift up. Now, I like a thrown bowl better, but is that a bowl? It is, okay? This is one of those things, we did the practice, we throw the cylinders, we work through it. I'm not trying to set you up for failure. Throwing a bowl is not easy. Throwing a really great bowl is quite hard. But I made a promise at the very beginning of the semester. The very first time we got on the wheel, I made a promise. Do you remember what it was? Anyone? Take a guess. I'm gonna, while you're thinking, I'm gonna clean up my rim here. No guesses? The promise went like this. I'm sure I promised this class. I said, if you follow the things that I ask you to do in this class, you will make better bowls this semester than I made my first semester in college. I did say that. And it's absolutely true. Most of you will walk out of here making better bowls than I made my first semester in college in ceramics.
Your bowls look good.
Now they do. They're that's a good looking bowl.
Mugs are right, but look at your bowl.
Okay, so cleaned up my rim. We'll pull that off. We trim that, and that'll make a nice bowl. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is wherever you get, we can solve the problem. Okay, so I'm going to pull this off, put that there. I'm going to put that there. I'm going to put that there. I didn't throw that this class, but which one of those is not a bowl? They're all bowls. Okay, so remember that. They're all bowls. We can get you to finish this project, and you can make something that you're proud of. Even if it's a
I like all of them.
cottage cheese bowl,
You could turn that into a mug.
you could turn it into a mug. Okay, we have 30 minutes, so let's cover a couple more things as I'm running out of space here.
Break thing.
Just mush them
Break
all.
thing.
Well, I need some to trim.
No.
Don't worry, it's fine.
That's gonna go right into your water bucket. Just
This,
it'd be funny if it did.
whatever. What were we doing? Okay. Slightly bigger bowl, real quick.
Just to show off, just because we have 30 minutes, so why not? Yeah.
It's all about ego. So there's some other things you can do with bowls. That you can try, you don't have to try. Completely up to you.
How do you make all of them exactly the same? Like, how do like say someone's selling their own and they're like, I have a set of 8 bowls that are like how?
Okay, so over the years, because I've thrown so many, I can make them all quite similar. If you looked right here,
Like, that would stress me out.
see those right there? Okay, all of those are pretty similar. The rims all line up. Okay, and those are all thrown free form. Like I throw them. When I'm throwing and I want them identical, what I do is I put a little jig over here and I put a tool. So let's say I want to throw 10 of this identical bowl. I come in here and I throw this thing right there. And then on my next one, I throw it with the same amount of clay to that spot. And so I know that it's the same height and it's the same width. And so they're nearly identical. But over time, what I actually do is you're throwing for 4 bowls and you're gonna throw, say 8, and you're gonna pick your favorites, which we'll talk about my definition in a second. For me, when I'm actually throwing that many bowls, or let's say I need 4 sets of 8. I'm gonna throw, that's 32 bowls, right? I'm gonna throw 60 bowls. And then I'm gonna match identical 8s up together. So instead of going through this hassle, which is not that big of a deal, because I know how to throw my clay, I will throw a ton of them and then match, then I have extras. You first, then you.
How do you get them to like stack?
How do you get them to stack? So as they go, it'll shrink a little bit and it'll shrink in. You want about 1.5 inches in between. You don't want them way high, you don't want them way low.
You
But
have to do it a certain way.
yeah, you just don't push this out as far, so that it's a little more of a slant, so it just kind of slides in there. Anyways, let's finish this bowl. I'll show you a couple things you can do to bowls, which are kind of fun.
Do you ever do bowls that have like the little rim thing on the side so that they're the same size but they stack and they have rims that are staying on top?
I don't actually know what you're talking about.
Maybe I'm not explaining it correctly, but I have bowls that are exactly the same size, but they don't really have that much space when you stack them, but
So-
they have the thing.
So, thrown bowls aren't always going to be that way. Some people, when you buy bowls, they're cast, so they have a mold they cast in there, so they literally are identical. And they make them so that they just sit right next to each other. Where each one of these is hand thrown, so they're going to be slightly different. The curves are going to be slightly different. But again, I probably wouldn't stack those two together in a set. I would find one that sits down lower in it. No.
How fast can you throw a bowl?
Pretty quickly. So let's do this real quick. So we get here. You can bend your rims out if you want to. So you can have that nice little bent out rim. You can come in here and you can add some little decorations to them if you want.
Look, if you did it pointed inward, it could be a resting place for your spoon.
For your what?
That's a
Spoon.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
did it
heard.
inward.
I heard spleen. I was like,
But yeah, that would do it.
Good for hospitals.
Spoon rest.
It
Spleen
is.
bowl.
Wait, Jones, and then you can put like a little strip of clay like over it, but not touching. That way it's like a seatbelt for the spoon. That way if it's like soup or something, it won't like slide in.
I hope
Yeah.
he fires this one.
Wait, but
Exactly.
Just stick your spoon in.
Very careful.
You'd
So
have
it's
to
like-
go
it's just like a
under.
little
It'd
piece.
be really inconvenient.
Or you just put it in.
And there's a little clay buckle like in a
Oh
pot.
yeah, you'd stick it upside down. That way when you grab it, your hand's covered in soup.
Okay, who wants to see bottles or vases?
Yes, please. Just because we
A
have.
vase? No, because it could be part of the project.
Will you make a vase that's like really fat on the bottom and like really skinny on top?
That would be a bottle.
Oh. Wait. Oh.
Maybe like a
No, okay, wait, I'm curious. What's the difference between like bottles and vases?
That's a great question. So, the definition, my definition of a vase in a bottle is this, and I'll show you, and then I'll throw some. A vase, the neck or the opening is similar to the body. Okay. A bottle, the opening is quite small compared to the body. Okay. Right? So this is a bottle.
I actually do subtracting.
This is a vase.
no.
Maybe look.
I don't see that.
Can't you have it go super thin in the middle of a base and then open up super wide at the top?
You could.
That wouldn't be considered a bottle, that would still be a vase.
That would be considered a vase. So bottles or vases, you're going to throw a cylinder, and you're going to throw it as tall as possible. With both of them, especially a bottle, you need to make sure that the thickness all the way up is the same. If there's a thin spot and you go to bring that bottle in, it's going to add tension and it's going to collapse. So pull this towards me. Okay, before you do any shaping, you should always rib your clay. Keep throwing this in the bucket. Okay, I'm gonna rib that, and that just compresses it. Now, I want my rim to come in just a little bit. This is called collaring it or training it, okay? Even though I might bring it out in a minute, I want it to be trained to go in. All right, I'm gonna lift from the bottom and I'm gonna stretch it out just a little bit so it has kind of that natural vase shape. And when I do it, whatever direction my hand's going should be underneath the other hand. So if I'm going out, I should be underneath my outside hand. If I'm going in, I should be underneath my inside hand. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to grab this clay, and I'm going to push out I'm not going to push too far, because if you push too far, you create a ledge, and then it slumps. And then I'm going to bring my inside hand above. Okay, we have a little bit of a belly there. Take the water out. I'm gonna rib it. That would be a perfectly fine vase right there. Even if it's half the size, that's still fine. I'm gonna rib it by using the flat part of my rib. That's going to help compress it. Okay, if I want it to come in a little bit, I can use my rib or my hands and press on there. Then I can push out to get that out. And you kind of get that natural vase shape, right? I don't know if it's a natural, it's kind of a traditional vase shape. Then clean up the bottom. This is one of those things you could take and turn it into a pitcher, throw a handle on there, right? And it's really that simple. That's your little spout, maybe a little wider than that. And then throw a handle on there, and that would be kind of cute.
How thick of a handle would you have to make it? 'Cause I feel like it'd have to be pretty thick.
Not super thick, maybe a tiny bit thicker than what we did for our mugs. So I wouldn't say tons thicker.
Yeah.
All right, let's pull this off.
Yeah.
We'll make a bottle.
How much stuff do you actually take home? Like, are your cupboards like buttered with pottery?
There's lots of pottery there. What?
I just feel like you like didn't answer the question. You're like, there's just lots of pottery, and it sounded like you're gonna say more than it. And it was just kind of funny how you
I was.
Mad at your wife when she buys like plates that you could have just made.
She doesn't.
Do you guys actually, do you buy like any plates or cups?
Are you counting
What am I counting? What?
how fast I can throw a bowl?
Oh, one.
Well, you can just look on the video.
Oh.
See, now we're all distracted. So we don't know what time
Jack, maybe people want it, maybe count live.
Well, it's just easier.
10.
It's disgusting.
What? How fast do you
it is. You gotta be up to
That's what I say when I see you running down the street. I'm like, it's disgusting.
friends let their kids out of the house with bare feet.
I did not wear shoes for like the first 8 years of my life.
That kid.
I just didn't. Why would I wear shoes?
You walk back inside the house.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
No, it's not fine.
Why do you?
Because I need to do something else.
Oh, okay.
Okay, who asked that question? Things at my house. There's
Oh,
lots of things at my house that
Please take us all to inside your room.
that I've made. My daughter's made some stuff. My son's made some stuff. I have a couple of plate sets that I've made. We only pull out
You
for.
can tell who made what.
Oh yeah.
Okay, wait. Do you have like a favorite piece of all time? Like one piece will never, like, if it broke, you would switch?
No. No.
There's just too many ones.
Yeah.
You guys get
I really don't. There are some that I get irritated that get broken, but there's nothing I can do about it. If I really wanted them, I just wouldn't put them out in circulation. But whatever, I can make more.
Do we keep our notes or we take them in today?
Keep your notes. Okay, back to the notes and back to my definitions. You ready?
Yeah.
So on your notes, for one, you need to keep these for our hand-built project demonstration, which will be Wednesday. You have seen some of the directions and ideas, and we've talked about them. Those of you who aren't listening to me should be. On the second sheet, you need to draw 8 ideas for your projects. And these are your hand-built projects. I'm not worried about you drawing a bowl, right? But what you need to do is come up with ideas. And you can come up with some of them now if you've seen the things that we've done. If you missed Thursday, you need to go and watch or look at those PDF files that are on Google Classroom so you can see where we're going. Do that before Wednesday so that when I'm demoing, you kind of see an idea of where we're getting to. After Wednesday, when we start your hand-built project, you need to have those 8 sketches. And the reason for that, so you come up with an idea and you're like, this is what I want to do. And if you have sketches of what you want to do, I can guide you in a sense of, this might be more complex than we have for 5 days. Or when you make this, you need to make sure you support it this way, or lots of things like that. But if you don't have an idea of what direction you want to go, you can explain it to me, and I probably can't really help you. But if you have a sketch or a drawing or a printout, then we can work through that. Now, as for definitions, my definition or a definition of a set is usually in 2s. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. In plates, bowls, it's usually 4, 8, 12, 16. What? 4, 8, 12, 16, and it goes up by 4s, usually. But usually once you get to 16, then it starts to become like 32. You don't really get a set of 24. You can, but you don't usually. 2 isn't necessarily a set, although it is a set. Now, for you, you need to make a set of 4 bowls, a set of 3 bottles or vases. This is or, not and. Okay? A total of 3 or 4 things. Now, for some of you, you might be getting into this and going, you know what? I want to make 2 bowls and a vase. Okay? That means you're going to make 4 or 5 or 6 bowls and 1 or 2 or 3 vases. And then you're going to save your best grouping. Okay? You are more than welcome to mix and match your pieces. Now, a set is 4. Minimum amount you need to turn in is 3. Maximum amount is 4. Okay? And that's all. And my definition literally is 3 or 4 pieces that you made on the wheel and tried your hardest on. That's my definition. It's, did you spend the time cleaning it up, trimming it, all of this great stuff. I'm going to turn this into a bottle, and I'm going to collar this in and lift up. Collar this in and lift up. Going to rib that. I keep throwing my stupid metal rib in here. Okay, all along the while you're doing these, we'll do more little demos. I want you to rely on yourself, but at the same time, 5 days is quick to get this done. So for me, I would say you're going to throw 1 or 2, 3 things the first day. Maybe some of them you're able to cut off. Then the second day, you're going to throw 1 or 2 or 3 things. And your third day, you're going to throw 1 or 2 things and trim 1 or 2 things. On your fourth day, you're going to throw 1 or 2 things, trim 1 or 2 or 3 things. And on your fifth day, you're going to finish up by trimming and cleaning up your pieces. Some of you will come after school or stay after school. Some of you won't. I'm not requiring any of that. I will show you, and I did show you today, ways of if you're struggling to make a big cereal soup bowl, how can you make a smaller yogurt / salsa bowl? Okay, and they're perfectly fine. Okay, another thing for you, and I got time to show you.
Sounds like the ocean when it dries up. Wait, no, it doesn't.
Are you even saying?
What?
No, it makes like we used to have like 3 of those in my house, and each one were different sizes, and each one would make a different sound. Ocean.
I believe it.
Sounds like the ocean.
Okay, two things real quick.
Good job, Clara.
Why not? Look at it.
That looks so
Awkward.
Do you believe in magic?
No.
Yes.
Okay. Yes?
Definitely.
Okay, I can lift that without touching it with my hands.
Why not?
Okay. You just
Are you gonna spin it really
blow
fast?
everything.
Yeah, I'm gonna spin it really fast in reverse. You ready?
Yeah.
No.
That
And you're
will,
gonna
that
aim
will
it
do it.
perfectly at Jack, so when it flies
Yeah.
off, just pull.
I'll block it.
If you put it in reverse, it will undo the job you've done.
Yeah, I knew you
What
would.
the heck?
There's nowhere else for the air to go. Of course, it's gonna cause it to expand.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you-
We get it. You got a 34 on the ACT. Shut up.
Ouch! You don't have to shut up.
No, it's fine. I will.
Really?
No. You wish.
Okay, let's talk real quick about something else, and we'll talk about this again later. But where's a bowl? So we have our bowl, and it's not trimmed up, correct? Leather hard. Let's say you're on your second day of trimming, and you get to it, and you're just struggling a little bit. Okay. So there are other ways of cleaning this up. Now, we can come in with our wood knife and we can kind of smooth this out just a little bit. I prefer a clean wood knife, but I'm not going to find one. And then we can come in with a sponge. You're supposed to be counting on this one too, sorry.
Oh, 4, 3, 2, 7.
Okay, can you see the difference between that and that? Okay, can you see those differences? Okay, in less than 10 seconds, if you're struggling with trimming, you can come in and you can clean this up and clean up that bottom where it looks better than not trimming. Okay? Now, I want you to learn to trim because that still looks better than that, in my opinion. Right? I mean, you don't have to agree with me, but it's still the right opinion. Okay? And it still looks better. But throwing's hard. Throwing bowls is hard. Trimming's hard. And as we're going, if there's a point where you're just like, I've already ruined 3 thrown bowls. Okay, let's stop for a second. Let's figure this out. And let's turn it into something that you can take home and still be happy about. And one of the biggest things about that is big chunks of clay. If we have big chunks of clay, it doesn't look finished. But if it's smooth, it'll look finished. So we can take care of those things. Okay, we've done the practice. We've learned how to throw cylinders. We've learned how to center. We're now going to be expanding what we're doing, and I'm not trying to set you up to fail. I'm trying to set you up to succeed in whatever level you're at. Okay, some of you will throw nice big bowls. Others will throw nice smaller bowls. Okay, and some of you will learn how to trim, and some of you will learn how to clean it up. And both and all of those are good solutions to this problem. Okay, and then because what's my definition for your set? 3 or 4 pieces thrown on the wheel that you're happy about, that you put effort into, right? Something like that. So it'll change every time I say it. It's things that you're happy about that you made on the wheel, okay? And you put in 5 days worth of effort. That's what I want you to do, okay? Now, if you turn them in and they're really chunky, super thick, then you didn't ask questions and ask for help. But if they're slightly thick, that's not a problem. Okay, it's just a bowl that'll never tip over. Cool. Any questions? Okay, you can do it. Think about